This is the most exciting tournament in sports, the World Baseball Classic.
3 years ago, a matchup between Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani in the championship became the most watched World Baseball Classic game in history. This year, that record was broken
I think he changed Mike, no?
by a Team USA game in pool play. The Emperor of Japan was there, Cardi B watched, Timothy Chalamet, Bad Bunny were there, Kevin Durant tweeted about it, Mia Khalifa tweeted about it, even Palestine tweeted about it. They watched a 17-year-old face the best players in the history of the planet, an electrician throwing 79 miles per hour, had the best pitching performance of the tournament. Teams fought each other in the dugout. This entire team cried, this fan cried, this broadcaster cried, this manager cried, this newscaster cried, Shohei Ohtani cried, Ronald Acuna Jr. cried, and this man almost killed a man trying to buy a remote to watch a game. A country became convinced that somebody had sold inside information to another team, resulting in a terrible loss. A player told his teammate he could f*** off after an American refused to shake a Mexican's hand for the second year in a row. The 2026 World Baseball Classic set an attendance record before pool play even ended. TV viewership...
So it's a world tournament? I did not even know there was a world tournament. I had this impression that baseball was like, limited to countries, right? Where they have their own tournaments. But I didn't know there was a world tournament.
In America was up 183%, yet the American team itself was on the brink of the most embarrassing performance in the history of the World Baseball Classic.
The World Cup of Baseball.
And it blew up in his face.
Right.
He got caught with his pants down and he was trying to lie about it.
Baseball was invented by Americans. The World Baseball Classic was a tournament invented by America. Yet, throughout its history, America has taken the tournament with the least amount of seriousness. However, it was actually Japan who almost stopped this tournament from happening in the first place. MLB originally tried to create the World Baseball Classic in 2004 to help expand their global reach. Japan agreed to the terms, but at
So it is recent, only 20 years old, okay.
the very last minute, backed out. Upset that MLB was set to make a majority of the profits, Japan thought they were making way less than they were worth. They called it a money grab, said it reeked of imperialism, and backed out, nearly stopping the tournament before it started. But eventually, an agreement was reached, and in 2006, Ichiro said he wanted to beat Korea so bad they wouldn't be able to compete with Japan for another 30 years. Some believing Ichiro was alluding to Japan's 35-year occupation of Korea starting in 1910. He had set...
That is one of the comments. I mean, one second you're saying American imperialism, and then you're talking about like destroying Korea for 30 years, which, Japan imperialism did. Well, more than 30 years actually.
Earlier, that Korea smelled like garlic. Korea drilled Ichiro with a pitch, upset them 2 times, planted a Korean flag on their mound as Ichiro looked on in complete and utter anger. These games are personal, intense. Japan ended up getting revenge and winning the tournament in games watched by up to 60 million people, more than any World Series in history. After nearly stopping the tournament altogether.
Oh man, kind of a tangent, but I don't know if you guys saw, I'm sure no one's surprised, but, Trump keeps saying the dumbest fucking thing, and he was meeting the Prime Minister of Japan, and he said something about, I think he said something about, the whole thing with attacking Iran was, sneaky, and he replied by saying, well, Japan was sneaky with Pearl Harbor, This fucking guy. It's like, every time I think I've seen the worst that this guy can do, he does something worse.
The WBC was arguably the most important sporting event in the country's entire history. 17 years later, the 2023 World Baseball Classic brought an estimated $426 million in economic impact to Japan in 2 weeks. The week of the tournament saw the most Japanese tourism since pre-pandemic. According to Japan's economic index, the country saw the first improvement in 4 months, marked by, quote, tourism and other factors. The World Baseball Classic literally changed the trajectory of the entire Japanese economy. This year, a win would bring an estimated $582 million in economic impact. A tournament they nearly vetoed themselves before it even started. America's first appearance.
Yeah, but I'm guessing back then it made sense. The term was terrible, yeah.
wasn't as successful. They lost to Canada in a mostly empty stadium with 17,000 fans. The tournament didn't catch on in the States. In 2009, they finished 4th. In 2013, they finished 6th. But in 2017, they pulled off one of the most electric performances in the tournament. More MLB stars participated for America than ever in 2023, yet still, out of the top 13 American pitchers based on ERA, none of them decided to participate in 2023. But this year, with Paul Skeens, Logan Webb, and Tarek Skubal, the USA had a stacked rotation and a loaded lineup. The roster had a combined 612 WAR, 200 more WAR than the second best team in the tournament.
Wow.
Then, they lost to Italy, a team whose lineup was nearly half minor leaguers. Before the tournament, MLB star pitcher Tarek Skubal announced he would only make one start in the WBC, then go back to spring training, trying to avoid injury. The next week, Bryce Harper lobbied for MLB to allow players in the Olympics, saying, quote, "The WBC is great, but it's not the Olympics."
I didn't even know there was baseball in the Olympics. Man, I really don't know those things. Maybe there was, but man, I didn't see anyone talk about it. I mean, there was the Winter Olympics recently. I guess there wouldn't be baseball in that one. But yeah.
Fans reacted negatively, saying Team USA star doesn't even care about the tournament. In Game 1, they faced Brazil, a team with a 24-year-old construction worker. He had to get PTO
in 2028,
to play in this tournament, then went
I see.
0-11. They also had a 17-year-old on the roster. Born in 2008, he is a senior in high school. He gives up a double, then has to face Bobby Witt Jr., Bryce Harper, and Aaron Judge. He walks 2 in a row and has to face Aaron Judge with the bases loaded. He is a senior in high school. He jams Judge, gets a double play ball, and ends the inning. USA destroys Brazil, then they destroy Great Britain, and with Paul Skeens on the mound, USA now plays Mexico. To start the game, Randy Arozarena goes for a handshake. Cal Raleigh refuses. These two are teammates in Seattle, and it got people's attention. After the game, when asked, Arozarena said, quote, "What he has to do is f*** off. Go to hell with that fake ass, good to see you. He can shove it right up his ass." These quotes were translated from Spanish. Some say he said it jokingly, but this is the second year in a row a U.S. catcher had refused to shake Randy Aroz's hand. Will Smith, who did it last year, says that Raleigh warned Randy not to shake his hand and did it anyway. Raleigh the next...
This actually really sounds interesting as far as, like, again, from what I've seen at this point, you know, the American MLB way of baseball is so violent, irreverent, you know, like everybody's mad, everybody's fighting. It's kind of crazy, right? So it sounds really interesting to have, you know, like American team versus like Japanese team, which is like, you know, all about, you know, like a lot of you know, being proper, being respectful and all that, right? That sounds pretty funny, like the kind of different country culture clashing each other, yeah, like that. I don't think it's as extreme in the other sports, maybe.
Day says he loves Randy and had reached out to him, saying he hates that this is a thing and he's just competitive. But Randy refuses to comment. Later, a clip of Fernando Tatis Jr. and William Contreras shaking hands goes viral. He puts it on his story. His teammate Alex Thomas posts a picture of Raleigh refusing to shake his hand and says it's personal. This confusing beef lingers, but the USA beats Mexico and improved to 3-0. USA's manager then goes on MLB Network and says, "We want to beat Italy, even though we, quote, already punched our ticket." Unbeknownst to him, USA had not advanced yet. If Team USA loses, Italy plays Mexico the next day. If Mexico beats Italy, all three teams would be tied 3-1. The tiebreaker would then be decided by runs allowed. Mark DeRosa decides to rest Cal Raleigh, rest Bryce Harper, rest Alex Bregman, and Bryce Terang. Team's Italy offense has a total WAR of 14.8. Their manager has more career WAR than the entire offense. Team USA gives up 8 runs. Down by 8, every run still counts due to the tiebreaker. David Bednar loads the bases. They have Mason Miller, one of the best closers in the league, in the bullpen. Instead, they warm up Clayton Kershaw, a man who is literally retired. Bednar gets out of the inning, but America loses, and all of a sudden their fate will now be decided by a game between Mexico and Italy. All of a sudden their manager Mark DeRosa is getting hate from all directions. The video of him saying that USA had already advanced goes viral. MLB Network deletes the video, but after more criticism, they are forced to put it back up. Another video of him comes out where he says the team was up late celebrating and drinking after their Mexico win.
It happens all the time. I mean, in the main sport that I watch, the UFC, it's always one of the worst signs when leading up to a fight. A fighter is already talking about, his next opponent after this fight that's coming up. It's always like that when a team or a fighter is like overlooking the next opponent. Usually it doesn't end well, Yeah. It's a classic.
The day before the Italy game, and that a lot of guys were, quote, dragging. In Asia, a manager would never say this. In fact, last tournament, 3 players were sentenced to community service for doing something very similar. But before we get to that, a quick word from today's sponsor. Opening day is coming up, and I cannot wait to get that cheap 20. Just use description X set of tickets. If you love games, love sports in Japan, 3 Korean players were spotted at a bar in Tokyo. This became such a big scandal, the professional league did an investigation, got written statements from every single player on the team.
See, this is what I mean, right? I mean, I'm not saying it's especially a good thing. Japan, Korea, and, some Asian country can be way too extreme with rules, right? Obviously, there's a balance, but it's such a contrast to, the MLB side of the players, right? They fight each other, they fight the umpire, and, doesn't seem like much happen, right? And then on this side, it's 3 guys went to drink rather than train, and, suddenly they're massive investigation and all that. It's kind of crazy, the difference in culture.
After the investigation, 2 of the players were fined 3 million won and were forced to complete 40 hours of community service. The other was fined 500 won, forced to do 80 hours of community service, and was taken off the All-Star team. Korea couldn't make it out of pool play for the 3rd tournament in a row. One publication called them the ugly duckling national team, described the team as a humiliation. The country's response was so harsh, the Korean baseball organization issued an apology to the entire country. It was such an embarrassment, they created a literal task force, hired a full-time manager and coach to be in charge of the national team year-round, started making their players play in exhibition games even when the WBC wasn't happening, and practice as a team a month before the WBC.
I mean, I'm laughing, but, countries take sport very seriously. It's always been a thing, right? The Nazi Olympic from 1936, was it? Was the same thing, right? Hitler really wanted to show Germany being so great by winning so many events or something. And, while things aren't as crazy today, it's all countries feels like that, right? It depends on which sport, not every sport matter, right? But, in the big sport, especially the one that have some kind of World Cup or something, yeah, I guess countries are they will take it very seriously, for prestige, I guess. Yeah.
Even starts. They hadn't made it out of pool play in 17 years. They hadn't beat their arch rival Japan in 12 games. And now, a new formidable opponent had entered the conversation. Taiwan is the fastest growing baseball league in the world. They have a live band with 8 trumpets, 4 trombone players, 2 saxophonists, and cheerleaders relentlessly dancing the entire game. After beating Japan and winning the premier tournament, what was described as the biggest upset in international baseball history, the top 20 Google searches in the country were about baseball. 100,000 championship t-shirts were sold in 2 days. Companies in the country literally gave their employees the next day off to celebrate. The government honored the team by dispatching 4 fighter jets to escort the team back to the country. When they landed, the vice president was there to greet them. Baseball in Taiwan had been in an unprecedented decline. After multiple gambling scandals ravaged the league, attendance went from 1.6 million to only 583,000 in 2 decades. Their attendance was 1/3 of what it was at their peak. But when they hosted pool play in the 2023 tournament, viewership was up 151%. This, along with their national team success in Little League and the Premier 12, helped helped them go from 6,000 fans a game in 2023 to 10,000 fans a game in 2025.
That's
the
nice.
professional league's ticket sale revenue increased 3.5 times in just 2 seasons. The last tournament opened with a game between Korea and Australia. 15,000 fans came. Taiwan's first game was against Australia this year. 40,000 fans came. Over 30 buses of Taiwanese fans arrived at the Tokyo Dome. A man in Taiwan went viral after he crashed into a motorist, admitted that he didn't have a license, even though he was a cab driver, had over 100 tickets, and hit the man because he was rushing so he could get a remote in time to watch the game. The country lit up the Taipei 101 in honor of the team. 4,000 Taiwanese flags were passed out to fans, who relentlessly cheered the entire game, but they lost. Their star, Chen Jie-xian, got hit in the hand and fractured his finger. Taiwanese fans were so upset. The pitcher got so many mean comments and threats, he had to make his account private. Chen had to make a statement to get fans to stop bullying him. During the game, a man in Taiwan claimed he was the former Taiwanese strength coach and had sold intelligence to Australia in order to defeat Taiwan.
Okay.
People became convinced the team had a double agent. This became such a big deal, the Ministry of Sports and the National Taxation Bureau began an investigation. The sports department makes a statement saying this man is a fraud and never worked for the team. The man got so much backlash, he deleted the post, apologized, said it was a joke, and deleted his account. The Taiwanese fans were so passionate in their game against Japan, 40% of the crowd was Taiwanese, even though the game was in Japan. But in the second inning, Shohei Ohtani showed up.
Well, it's over then. The true main character of baseball showed up. I mean, that's a bit unfortunate, yeah. I guess Korea or Taiwan's losing streak is not ending against Japan. Maybe next generation, you don't know.
Slam got 84,000 likes in 33 minutes. 2 weeks later, it is sitting at 29 million views on Twitter alone. Japan's offense explodes on Taiwan. Taiwan gets one hit and lose 13-0. Taiwan's disappointment ends with a convincing win over Czech Republic. And all of a sudden, they face Korea with their tournament on the line.
Man, even the Czech Republic has a team. I don't even know if we have a baseball team in France, to be honest. Never heard about any baseball in France, like genuinely. We likely do, but I assume it's not very good. I don't think we're good at baseball. Probably not.
Arguably the best Korean pitcher in history, Hyun-Jin Ryu, starts. In the second, he faces Yu Chang.
Belted to left, Yu Chang, legend!
Taiwan takes the early lead, but then Korea ties it in the fifth. However, minutes later,
Racing back Lee at the wall.
Korea is now staring another disappointment in the face. Another elimination would cause outrage back home. Do Young Kim knows that.
For Korea, Do Young Kim in the air to deep left field and watches it go.
He launches one, launches his bat, and gives Korea a 2-1 lead in the seventh. Taiwan's down to their last 9 outs. They get the leadoff man on, but then ground into a double play. They get the leadoff man again. This time, Stuart Fairchild comes up to the plate. He's played on 5 MLB teams in 5 seasons. He's a perennial bench player who is mostly anonymous in America. But his mom is Taiwanese. They recruit him to the team, and he has the country's hopes and dreams in his hands. And with 2 outs in the 8th,
nice.
Taiwan takes the lead on the back of Stuart Fairchild. Him joining Taiwan and hitting this home run has resulted in him gaining 285,000 followers in 2 weeks. He has 6 times more followers now than he did before the tournament. A guy who was designated for assignment 6 times. A guy who was designated for assignment
That's a nice story.
in the past year alone just got 114,000 likes on an Instagram post promoting a Taiwanese coffee brand. In just 4 games, Stuart Fairchild has become a celebrity in Taiwan.
I love the underdog story.
Isn't over yet. Do Young Kim, who had gave the Koreans a lead earlier, comes back up and drives one. Hyun Kim of the Dodgers scores from first. In extras, Taiwan turns to small ball. They put Shi Xian Chen in at second base. He fractured his finger 3 days before. On a bunt, he slides headfirst in the third and is safe. He scores.
You're still playing even 3 days after fracturing a finger? Damn.
On another bunt. They now just need 3 outs to win. With a runner on third, this is Korea's best chance.
Things 1-1. Rolled to first. Runner's coming home. So is the throw.
The next batter flies out, and for the first time ever, Taiwan beats Korea in the World Baseball Classic. The entire
nice.
team goes onto the field and is in tears. Reporters
cool.
are in tears. Fans are in tears. These two teams played each other in the exact same stadium in the 2009 WBC. 13,000 fans were in attendance. This year, there were 40,000 fans in attendance. Taiwan came out and took a bow to all of them. This result meant a game between Australia and Korea would decide who got out of the pool. Australia, likely the most underrated team in the tournament, has seen a 22% increase in baseball participation in the last year alone. They had the #1 overall draft pick who was born and raised in Australia and were 1 run from upsetting Japan. If Korea wants to avoid another embarrassment, they not only have to beat them, they have to beat them by 5 or more runs. Australia is 2 outs away from moving on, and they get a perfect double play ball.
Hooley, ground ball off the glove of O'Loughlin. Dale.
Okay.
Korea scores on the very next pitch, take a 5-run lead into the 9th, and move on past their pool for the first time in 17 years. Their manager cried and said today was the game of my life. Their broadcaster cried in the booth. They move on with Japan, who storms through pool play undefeated. With stars like Seiya Suzuki, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and Shohei Ohtani, they look unbeatable. But other teams aren't as lucky. They don't have their stars, like Puerto Rico, who at one point threatened to quit the tournament altogether. 4 of their best players were denied insurance, deemed too likely to get injured, and were unable to play. Carlos Correa
That's the
is
thing.
out. Francisco Lindor is
Too likely to get injured? What?
out. Jose
How do you even determine that someone is too likely to be injured? I guess if they have a record of getting injured often before, but okay.
Barrios is out, and Victor Carantini is out. So was Mike Trout, Jose Altuve, Miguel Rojas, and Jose Alvarado, who told the media, quote, "The insurance is a piece of shit. They do such a shitty thing to you. It's a piece of shit." Miguel Rojas asked out loud why it seemed like it was only the Latin guys getting denied. In total, at least 9 Puerto Rican players were deemed ineligible because of insurance.
That
The
sounds weird.
operating manager said withdrawing from the tournament altogether was on the table. Even Puerto Rican star Bad Bunny offered to pay the insurance for the players, which would allow Francisco Lindor and Carlos Correa to play. But concerns that the insurance company used was not trustworthy enough, it was denied. To make matters worse for Puerto Rico, Javi Baez tested positive for marijuana and would be suspended for the tournament. With 170
Damn.
wins above replacement off their roster, Puerto Rico looked completely depleted. They're losing to Panama, a team that has only won 2 World Baseball Classic games in history.
And I'm sorry, but are you really losing? Like, if they're refusing all of your best players to come for like bullshit reason, you know, losing doesn't mean much because you didn't have your best players because of some bullshit rules, I guess. I don't know.
And can only score 1 run all game, but they tie it in the 9th. In the 10th, a guy named Darrell Hernandez comes up. He's not even supposed to be on the team. It took 2 players to get their insurance denied and another injury just for him to make the roster. He has a negative career WAR.
But he's gonna put it off. It's his moment. This is the kind of chance that most people don't get.
Only 3 career home runs, but with 2 strikes and 2 outs.
And the 1-2 crossed
Yep.
left field line deep.
Rise up to the moment.
It's a walk-off home run. And after the game, the entire team stays on the field and sings Mark Anthony to a sold-out crowd as players and fans are in tears. The craziest fan atmosphere, however, was in Miami, a pool with Venezuela and the Dominican Republic. Combined, these 2 countries have 163 MLB players. Combined, they have about the population of California, yet they make up around 17% of the league. In 1990, all foreign players combined made up just 14% of the league. This massive influx of international talent is fueled in large part by Latin America. Now, 36% of Latinos in the U.S. consider themselves MLB fans, more than any other demographic in the country. Their passion
nice.
is unmatched. Last Classic, according to a report, 3 players threatened to leave the team because of issues in the clubhouse. Another report says that Rafael Devers was left off the team because he caused issues in 2023. Manager Albert Pujols says says he called Devers to join this year, but did not get a response. Last year, going into the tournament, people called this the greatest lineup ever assembled. They couldn't even make it out of pool play. But this year, the lineup looks even better. They hit 3 home runs in a row. This is the reaction in an exhibition game. Every single one of their games in Miami is a sellout. They hit 3 home runs in Mercy Rule, Nicaragua. They played the Netherlands. Vladdy hits a bomb, puts on a jacket, and takes a selfie with a weight with plantains on it. Junior Caminero gets hit by a pitch. He looks hurt. Turns out, he is not hurt. They mercy ruled the Netherlands too. They beat Israel 10-1. Their only competition is Venezuela. In this game, they hit 3 bombs, including one of the deadliest bat flips ever seen. Before the tournament, Juan Soto said they were going to have fun. Fernando Tatis said they were going to be loud. The team is stacked. They have Manny Machado, Vladdy Jr., Juan Soto, Ketel Marte, and even Austin Wells, who apparently has 2 Dominican grandparents.
Gloria a Dios. Gloria Morisañando.
By the end of the pool, they scored the most runs, had the highest average, the highest on base percentage, had the highest slugging percentage, the highest OPS, and broke the record with 13 home runs in pool play. They hit 13 home runs in 4 games. The Dominican is now favorited to win the tournament, and the former favorite might not even make it out of the pool. Mark DeRosa's comments has much of the baseball world calling for him to be fired. However, he later says he was well aware by the time the game started that the USA had not advanced. More info comes out that because of rules set by players' franchises, Mason Miller was only allowed to pitch 1 inning per game, meaning if he had replaced Bednar with the bases loaded, he wouldn't have been able to pitch the 9th. Bednar was only allowed to pitch 25 pitches. If he would have thrown 1 more pitch, DeRosa would have been forced to take him out of the game. The only other pitcher available was Clayton Kershaw. Similar events happened in the last tournament. When USA got blown out by Mexico, they were forced to put in pitcher Ryan Presley, one of their best relievers, instead of saving him for the next game, which was a must-win because his team required him to get an inning of work in during this game. Team USA had to beg teams in the last tournament to change their rules and allow some of their relievers to increase their pitch limits. Other teams don't have to deal with this to the same extent. Pitcher Javier Assad started 2 games for Mexico in pool play alone. Dominican pitcher Sandy Alcantara said he would pitch on short rest for the Dominican Republic. It's not clear whether either of their teams supported those decisions. Teams cannot dictate when or how a pitcher is used. They can influence them by requesting how and when a pitcher is used and pressure them into not pitching at all. That may be why pitchers like Max Fried, Hunter Brown, Kevin Gausman, and Joe Ryan did not pitch for Team USA despite being good enough. It also might be part of the reason Tarek Skubal opted not to pitch a second game for Team USA despite being lined up to pitch in a potential championship. Italy shocks everyone, goes undefeated and beats Mexico, meaning USA gets into the next round where they narrowly beat Canada. Critics say they seem unprepared, undedicated, and boring. Not to mention Team USA's pitchers had allowed more home runs than any other team in the tournament. And now they have to face the Dominican Republic. They're the opposite. They're fun. They scored 51 runs in 5 games, and 4 out of 5 Dominican players previously said they'd rather win the WBC than the World Series. Junior Caminero wanted to be on the team so bad, he said he'd be the bat boy. Instead of preparing for the season and getting at bats in spring training, he wanted to be with the Dominican Republic to sit on the bench. But the absence of Jose Ramirez allows him to get the start. And in the 2nd inning,
Caminero leans out, sends it
a homer off arguably the best pitcher in baseball gives Dominican the lead. But Paul Skeens dials in. Aaron Judge makes an amazing throw. Mow down Tatis. Then Gunnar Henderson comes to the plate.
Gunnar Henderson is whatever they
Later, a 21-year-old Roman Anthony follows him. America has the lead, but in one of the loudest environments in WBC history, the Dominican loads the bases. Skeens gets out of it. The next inning, there's 2 men on with 1 out.
Bouncing ball towards the middle. Whip to the bag, off balance.
A double play gets the U.S. out of it. In the 7th, David Bednar has runners on 2nd and 3rd with 1 out, facing the top of the scariest lineup ever. He gets Tatis swinging, and with 2 outs,
Vraiment.
He strikes out Ketel Marte. The Dominican has 4 chances to tie this game, and the U.S. shuts down the best lineup arguably ever, every single time. USA holds on to a 1-run lead going into
So
the
the USA
ninth
came
and
back.
puts in Mason Miller. With a runner on third and 2 outs, he just needs 1 more out to send the U.S. to the championship. And on a 3-2 count,
It is
the
Well,
United States wins on
Alright.
controversial strike 3. Juan Soto says afterwards, quote, "We showed the world we're the best team in baseball." However, they were eliminated, and the United States, after being showered with negativity for a week straight, somehow holds the Dominican Republic to 1 run in one of the most hostile environments possible. But the crowd at their next game
I mean, they won,
will be
they
even
won.
more hostile. In January, the United States captured the president of Venezuela.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like this will be, this is a complicated situation.
The Winter League stopped for 4 days. There were no flights out of the country for 4 weeks. MLB teams scrambled to evacuate their players. Many of those players are playing for Venezuela now. The political turmoil is unavoidable. Fans above the dugout taunted Miguel Cabrera during pool play, accusing him of being a Chavista. He got upset with the fans and had to go back to the clubhouse. Their manager came out pleading with the media to not ask political questions. The team worried any comment made could put friends and family at risk. They believe winning and uniting the country through baseball is their best option. And right now, it's working. Venezuelan games in
It's like on one hand, it's sports and teams represent country, right? So, there's a lot of history. But yeah, it's kind of like you want to be proud of whatever country you're representing and rooting for. It doesn't have to be, proud of what the country has done, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you can root for the US team without, that doesn't mean you're rooting for all the fucked up stuff they've done. It's a, sports team. It's not the same thing.
Miami, which has the most dense Venezuelan population in the country, have been the loudest. Their only hiccup was a close loss to the Dominican Republic, forcing them to match up against the defending champs, Japan. They instantly run in to the best player in the sport.
The main character again.
In the third, they tack on 4 more runs. When Miguel Garcia home runs Venezuela within 1. And all of a sudden, down 1 with runners on the corner, Hiromi Ito, the best pitcher in the Japanese league, has to face Wilder Abreu.
this game. Instead, he'll give Venezuela the lead.
Venezuela shocks Japan, and with one
Wow.
swing of the bat, flips the script. They hold Japan scoreless for the rest of the game, and now face Italy for a spot in the finals.
won.
Italy
Nice.
is the last undefeated team, and is mostly made up of Italian Americans who are not good enough to play for America. They chug espresso shots every time they hit a home run. Only 2 of the
I know that's how it works, and it's like that's in other sports, right? But I always find it a bit disappointing in like this kind of like country tournament where, like half of the team is actually someone from a different country, but with just like heritage or something. You know what I mean? Like someone from some crazy athlete from the US, but was born in China or something, and then they represent China. Like I don't know if it's a controversial take, but like it counts, but it feels like I just wish like the team of a country was fully people from the country. I don't know, to really see like a real country battle, if that makes sense. But I guess at the same time, it's not such a bad thing. It's a representation of like how diverse and all that the world has gotten, right? Yeah.
Their players in the starting lineup have more than 1 year of MLB experience. If they make the championship, it would be the biggest upset in WBC history. Despite having 40-1 odds to win their pool, they did win their pool. They have 12 home runs in 3 games and strike first against Venezuela. They force a pitching change and score again. In the bottom of the 6th, they have a chance to blow this game open.
Leaning out over the plate. Serpa strikes him out.
But they can't. The Venezuelan crowd is trying to wake the team. They get runners on the corner, and Raul Acuna Jr. puts one in play.
Left side. Into action with the backhand. Throws it across.
He ties it. His cousin Michael Garcia is next at the plate.
It's present, no?
Then Luisa rises up.
Yeah, this is done.
Venezuela scores 3 in 1 inning, takes the lead, shuts Italy down, and for the first time ever, they are in the championship of the World Baseball Classic. Ronald Acuna Jr. was in the outfield crying the entire 9th inning. When they beat Japan, he chanted, "We ate sushi." When they beat Italy, they chanted, "We ate pizza." And now they're in the finals.
Sounds nice.
Ronald Acuna Jr., it's already better than anything he had done
What should
in
we take
MLB,
next?
saying he loved the Atlanta Braves, but he was Venezuelan way before he was a Brave. This game is such a big deal in Venezuela that schools and offices close early so people can go home and watch it. Their manager,
Wow.
Omar Lopez, said before the game that he got text messages from 3 organizations asking him not to use their pitchers who he had used the night before. Acuna made a comment on Instagram saying, quote, "We're not playing for those organizations. We're going to launch everything we have." America also has restrictions. According to reports, David Bednar, who had pitched in the last 2 games, was thought to have been deemed unavailable by the Yankees. And due to requests from the Padres, Mason Miller, their closer, would only be able to be used in a save situation. Derek Skubal, who controversially declined a second start, was at the game but was not willing to pitch. Instead, Nolan McLean is pitching.
This all sounds like a mess.
Prospects in baseball with 8 career MLB starts. He's making the biggest start of his life in front of a sold-out crowd dominated by Venezuelan chanting. He gives up 1 in the 3rd on a sac fly. And in the 5th, Wilmer Abreu comes back to the plate.
Off of the bat of Abreu. Wilmer Abreu hits it up.
Venezuela starts Eduardo Rodriguez. He had an ERA over 5 the past 2 seasons, but for 4 innings, he shuts down one of the strongest lineups ever, strikes out 4, and only gives up 1 hit. Venezuela ignores requests from organizations. They throw 4 relievers who pitched just 1 night before. USA, who had scored 29 runs in their first 3 games, had scored just 2 runs in the past 19 innings. They only have 1 hit through 5 innings. The captain, Aaron Judge, looks lost and goes 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. The offense is dead and is down to their last 4 outs. But on a 1-0 count to Bryce Harper.
Harper
Whoa.
sails a fly ball
A comeback.
center field. Better late than never. Bryce Harper has tied the championship.
With 1 swing of the bat, the United States is tied. Going into the 9th, they need to hold
Oh, boy.
Venezuela. They're going against the heart of the lineup. Many would expect them to put in their best reliever, but Mason Miller is not in the game. It is not a safe situation, and Mark DeRosa honors the wishes of the Padres and does not pitch him. Instead, Garrett Whitlock comes in and walks the leadoff man. He steals second and is safe by an
I really don't know like all the details, you know, as always. I know little about baseball even after all those videos we watched. Huh? But man, it sounds like there's so much annoying rules here. He keeps talking about like all the people who for that reason or that reason are not allowed to pitch or to bat or to whatever, right? You know, it does kind of sound like this is kind of a mess holding back a lot of the better players from playing. So I don't really see how this is like super fair.
And Eugenio Suarez comes to the plate. And on a 3-2 count,
Into left center field, headed for the gap. And
this double scores the runner from second. Venezuela shuts the United States down in the 9th and win the 2026 World Baseball Classic.
Nice.
Ronald Acuna Jr. falls to his knees. Miguel Cabrera is in tears. The entire team sings the national anthem at the top of their lungs. Despite losing Jose Altuve, Jose Alvarado, and Pablo Lopez to insurance and injury, Venezuela wins it all as tens of thousands washed in town squares in Venezuela. Thousands more hit the streets afterwards in Venezuela, and millions on likely every continent on Earth watched
They needed
it
some
live.
feel-good news, I guess. They definitely needed some feel-good news. Okay, well, again, you know, even without watching the actual tournament, watching a video like this feels very fun. Like, you know, it seemed like it was a really, really epic tournament and like a really memorable one. That's cool, though. That's cool. Yeah. Maybe I should watch it one day. Ah, this is really cool.